Let's take a look at the region system from RPG Builder. As I enter this ritual site, as you can see, the complete mood of the scene changed. It is now with a really thick fog, but we also take damage now. So if I go out of the region, of course, I stop taking damage. And if I go back in, it starts again, and so on. We can repeat it as many times as we want. Now, you might be wondering, how do I actually set a region up in my world? So it's very simple. It really can't be simpler. I have one selected here. As you can see, it's also very easy to identify them in your scene because they have this kind of gizmo here. You can hide this gizmo, you can tweak the color. I'm going to keep it to what it was. Next, we have two important options, and it's really much the two only options anyway. So we have the shape type. We have a choice between sphere and cube. If it is a sphere, you will also need a sphere collider and of course have your trigger on, so is trigger, otherwise we can't enter the region, it is going to collide with your character. If you set it to cube, replace the sphere collider with a box collider. It's as simple as that. I'm going to keep it to sphere. And the next option, probably the most important, is the region template, as you can see. So here if we go under templates and regions, and here you can see the ritual site. You can see how it is set up. You can see now why it became purple, right? Because we actually, well, told it to. And at the bottom, we can see that when we enter, we have some actions with ritual site enter and ritual site exit. And I'm going to come back to this a bit later, but I want to finish covering the scene part of the region. So you don't have any limitations when it comes to how many regions you can have per scene. It's as many as you want. And you could have regions next to each other. So let me duplicate this one and put one here, for example. So if I now go back in game, if I go to this one, of course, this one should still work. As we enter, we are in the ritual site. I go out, and now there is a second one here. So let me go out. Of course, this one didn't exist before, but as you can see, now we duplicated it, moved it, and it works. So as you can see, regions do not have to be in your scene. They can be, of course. This one was already saved in the scene, right? But you could very much save your regions. You could make this a prefab and spawn it during the game. It's completely possible. All you need is this setup in a proper way. That's all. It is not connected to the scene at all. You could even reuse those prefab in different game scenes. Now, I showed you how they could be next to each other, but what about inside each other? So here we have a region. What if I make this one bigger, right? So in this case, we have this first region. Let's make this one the ritual site, and the one inside, let's switch it to maybe a new color, saying that if we go inside, it's actually a safe area now. So here we have the ritual site. As I enter, you can see that now I take damage, and as I go inside this, it goes back to normal, and we no longer take damage. And as I go out again, we enter the ritual site, and again we go out of it. So very cool, super easy to set up, not a lot of limitation, as you can see. You can really place them where you want, you can scale them however you want, etc. So that's really something I have fun to play with, and I know I'm going to heavily use in my game. Now for the most exciting part, what can we actually do with those regions? So let's take a look. So like I said, let's go under templates and regions and look at the ritual site. So here, of course, we have names, etc., but this is mostly for the editor. You might be wondering, how do we show the text, the name of the region? It's literally just here. And as you can see, you can turn on and off those features for the region. So we could turn everything off and then it will not do much, but it could still have some actions. But you can modify the fog or not, modify the lightning or not. You can even change the skybox. You can spawn some particles. So if you drag and drop a particle prefab here, it's going to be spawned in your camera, and it's going to be inside your camera as long as you are inside the region. So for example, when you are maybe in the mountain, you could have a snow prefab, and if you drag and drop it here, it's going to have some snow around your camera, or maybe a sandstorm if you're in the desert, etc. Here you have some combat options. So the combat mode is actually, let's say we will turn this on and we will leave this off. If we enter a region with this setup, we can no longer fight in this area. So we can't use abilities, NPCs are not going to attack us, we can't hit them, etc. But if you turn this on, you could, for example, enable combat again. So you could have certain part of your world, maybe towns, maybe cities, etc., where you can't use your ability. That's totally possible. This one is overriding the combat state. So no matter what, if this was, for example, true like this, when you enter this region, you enter combat right away. So that's another useful thing if you wanted to force combat in a certain area. This one, like I said, of course, the text option. You can even choose the duration of the text. And you have a option to play music in a specific region. So very cool, right? We could have some custom kind of creepy music inside this ritual site, and you can have a list of music, as many as you want, and they will go to the next one and be picked randomly. And lastly, the two options that really have the biggest impact in terms of game design and possibilities are the enter actions and exit actions. And here you can see that I have two templates, so ritual site enter and ritual site exit. So let's take a look at those. Here we have ritual site enter, and this is just a game action template. And if you've been watching RPG Builder videos, you see that these are used a lot now because they allow hundreds of possible things to be triggered in RPG Builder. In this case, we do something very basic. We basically apply an effect on enter, remove the effect on exit. Very simple, right? So we apply this curse, and when we go out, we remove it. But you could do much more. Let's see what else we could do. Maybe death, actually. What if we just wanted to have an instant death on your character? That's totally possible. Let me set the regions back to how it was before. So ritual site here, and put it back to this nice purple here, pink, purple. And let's go inside the region now, and we should instantly die. Yeah, that works. So this could also be used if you wanted to. You could also use interactive object for that. It's really up to you. But you could have a massive collider maybe under your map, or maybe in specific boundaries where you wanted your players to never be able to go. Or for example, if for whatever reason they're falling through your ground or something, you could instantly kill them and give them a way to respawn. So that's definitely one of the use case. But what else could we do? Let's see. Well, you could save the character if you wanted to do it that way. And we could also set the time scale. So for example, if we enter this region, let's say that the time is going to be 80% slower. So let's go in there. And actually, what will make sense is if we go back to the game actions, exit, and add also here time, set time scale back to 1 when we actually go out of the region. So let's go in there. And as you can see now, we are completely slowed inside the ritual site, but everything else is slowed, right? As well as the damage, extra. And as we go out, it will go back to normal. And that's it. So pretty cool. I know I'm going to have fun with this when we work on our own games. But yeah, so I could of course keep showing you some options, but I think you got the idea, and it's better if I make a game action video where I actually explain all those actions rather than explaining it in this video. So, you know, you can just watch this game action video and it will apply to anything in RPG Builder that use game actions. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted for this video. But it's really important, one more thing that I need to specify is when you start using this region system, as you can see, when we go inside, let's do it one more time. So when we go inside, you can see that the fog extra is changing, but we want the fog and the lightning and all those things to go back to normal, right? So what is normal in this scene? Well, you need to tell RPG Builder what should be the default for this game scene. So if we go to region here, we actually have the ritual site, remember, and we have the dreamscape region, which is the default values for this game scene. And if we look at here, it's actually the default directional light values as well as fog settings, as you can see. So that way we can really easily go back to those values when we exit a region. And in this case, you might be wondering, okay, but I don't see the dreamscape region here. You don't actually need to create this one. What you can do is go under World, Game Scenes, and in this case we have Dreamscape, the scene we are in right now. And at the bottom, you have default region. And here you can see that we have the Dreamscape region attached. And that's it. That's all. You don't need to actually create a default region game object. It will be used by default if you exit a region and do not enter a new one. That's all. So yeah, I hope all of this was clear. I hope you found it interesting and useful. Let me know your suggestions as always in the comment. And if you need help with anything, contact me on Discord. Thank you for watching and see you in a future video.